Users.
What's up, everybody? We're back. Yeah, that was Tron Legacy. I don't even remember what year that was from. But anyway, that was Rensler, aka Tron. I fight for the users. What he said. What's that all about? Why? So fight. Why do we have that video going for our theme video today? Because we have a vendor on today, and I'll explain more later. But we're talking vendors, and we're talking robots, and we're talking users, all that good stuff coming up on OT Exposed Raw. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Clint Dungeon, your co-host. Today is Friday. Not only Friday, it's the Friday before 4th of July. So you know what that means?
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day.
That's right. So I don't really have a Hawaiian shirt on. I've got a Hawaiian-esque shirt on. I don't even own a Hawaiian shirt, but I'm feeling the holiday coming on, hat on backwards and everything, and Hawaiian shirt. And I believe our guest today has a Hawaiian beer. So that's right. We are drinking beer today to start the weekend of the 4th of July early. And we're going to talk about some robots. We're going to revisit what we're talking about yesterday. I wasn't talking about crap yesterday. What we're going to talk about is revisiting from last week, which was a little bit of ambulance chasing and how all of this, the fallout from the malware and all these incidents and industrial, we kind of ragged on the vendors a little bit last week. And so this week we're going to give the vendors a chance to say their piece. But first, let's welcome our other co-host. He's probably the better looking co-host, but not the smartest. I'm just kidding. He probably is smarter than me. He's smarter. He's better looking. He's thinner. I am just here as a talking head and a facilitator. Let's welcome Pascal.
Again, you're spot on with your intro. Thanks for that. Glad to be back. This week I'm hiding out in my basement because it is hot out here. Yeah. So I decided to sit down here. Yeah, I know.
It gets 100 degrees in fall here. So anyway, hey, this week we got the vendors on. So last week we sort of bagged on the vendors a little bit, right? The technology vendors a little bit by the ambulance chasing, and he's backstage listening. So I'll set it up now. And really, what we kind of did last week was we talked about how the fallout from the malware incidents with all the industrial, it really, anytime you have incidents that are this exposed and this public, right? And it really does bring out the ambulance chasers and everybody. It's a great opportunity for people to say, we have the solution, and it brings out.
There's an easy button right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, click it.
And it's a bunch of bad advice from a lot of vendors as well. And so we did hammer on the vendors a little bit because we had an integrator on with us last week. So this week we're going to let the vendors kind of have their side, and we'll talk about that. But let's introduce him. A man we call the Proctor because when it comes to cybersecurity, he is the man. He's the timekeeper. He will let you know when your time is up, and also because his last name is Proctor. So everybody, let's welcome everybody from Forescout, Brian Proctor.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Hey. Here's my Hawaiian beer just to prove to everyone I am drinking a Hawaiian beer and wearing a American flag shirt. So happy 4th, everyone.
Yeah, you're all set. I was kind of expecting you to run in like they did on the Jerry Springer show and just start beating us because of what we said last week. But thanks for not doing that.
Yeah,
it also helps remote.
We're all vendors, guys. We all work for some company, right? Whether it's our own or something. So yeah, happy to be on. And if I have to be the representative of the vendors, happy to play that role. That's for sure.
Yeah, and so I mean, we'll get into all that in just a minute. I think first what we want to do is let's knock a couple news items out of the way. So up first, which I really don't give a crap, quite frankly, is everybody probably already heard this. Oh, LinkedIn got breached again. And there's apparently some coupon codes available. Is that for the LinkedIn information? But so
I actually thought this was a feature, but keep going.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of information that they got, and really, and it says that they said that really no passwords were exposed, so it's really just a bunch of metadata and salary, and it's stuff that could be used for social engineering. And I honestly, I mean, other than social engineering, I really don't see the impact of this so much, and I'm not really concerned about this, but I had to mention it because if we didn't, somebody's going to be on, oh, LinkedIn got hacked, and it's a big news. You didn't mention it, although.
It's not really industrial news now, is it?
It's all industry, right? I mean, that's
fair enough.
Everybody uses it. So.
If nothing else, for our listeners, be warned that you might get some spam, you might get some phishing emails that are very, very specific
accurate
with this kind of information.
Very convincing, right? Yeah. So, by the way, we have a comment. Somebody said, "Great choice on the drinks." I'd be curious to which one. I'm thinking Guinness. I don't know about his Hawaiian beer, but I can't down the Hawaiian beer either.
Clint, Jeff. I know Jeff personally, so I'm gonna.
It's probably his beer then. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is all this French politics. This is what you get.
Exactly. But guys, this is an API hack. I think this, like, I've seen a lot of industry, a lot of startups are focusing on
Facebook
API. Yeah, I mean,
right.
There's a lot of APIs that are exposed to get data out. I think quote unquote hacks like this. I don't know if this is a hack. This is LinkedIn built this purposely to exchange data with whatever. It's people got authorization and pulled out data that LinkedIn's already sharing with third parties. So, I don't think it's a big deal. It's not like a super scary hack to me, but.
And I agree, but and again, like you said, it is an API. It was not really even an API hack so much as it is just an abuse of an API authorization. So let's go to the next one. And Pascal pointed this out. I haven't really read up on this too much just because it was a late edition that he found. So I'm going to let Pascal talk about this one.
I just want to put this in there, and so this is the printer spooler service vulnerability that's in just about every Microsoft Windows system out there. I just wanted to put it in there again to get awareness out there. I don't think there's a patch for it yet. You can disable the printer spooler service on most systems. If you have a printer server sitting on your network, then of course you cannot disable it. But any other machine that doesn't necessarily sit there and spools print jobs for anything else, you can disable it. The interesting part of this vulnerability is that there is actually code in the service that checks for permissions, and with permissions I mean basically if you have a sprint pooler sitting on your network, and there's clients that say, I want you to go out and install some extra drivers because I have a special printer. Depending on your permissions, that's allowed or not. Now, because their check somehow can be influenced by a user input, people can circumvent the permission routine. And this way you can install arbitrary executables. It's a very unique one. I think it's wormable. I think we need to keep our eyes out for patches on this and patch as soon as it comes available.
Yeah, and God bless the people who named these vulnerabilities. I saw it's called Print Nightmare. Like,
there you go.
Love the people who name all these things, and like the threat actors that come out with these names. I don't know if there's like a special group of people who do this, but man, they are super, super talented to pick these funny, goofy words. So
funny, interesting fact about that is the exploit code was published before too early. It was exposed. It was posted too early because they thought Microsoft had already addressed the vulnerability. So therefore, the people, I believe they're in China, some researchers, they posted this on GitHub before Microsoft had a chance to patch it. So of course, a lot of people jumped on it and forked that GitHub repository. The original one got deleted, but you can find them. Actually, this is a link to the exploit code itself.
Yep. So, speaking of, I think one of the reasons why hackers like to come up with creative names is part of the hacker culture, right? I mean, it's part of that hacker flair. And speaking of creative names, we were talking about this backstage, right? So apparently we were debating on how to pronounce this, right? Revil, R evil. So the ransomware, I guess this was the ransomware that hit the meat facility, right? The JBS. So it was Revil. And so we don't really know exactly. Let me go share my screen again. Which was, here it is. Oh, there you go. So apparently they can hit VMware ESXi servers and virtual machines now, and also apparently NAS devices, network access servers.
Basically, yeah, because they ported it to Linux code.
Right.
They can hit Linux-based machines, Unix-based machines now, including VMware, which is a unique situation to be in, because with a lot of companies now basically virtualizing their infrastructure, having a piece of ransomware that can from the hypervisor level start encrypting all of your VMs is again, in my opinion, that's a nightmare.
So I mean, yeah, it's a nightmare. And that's a good segue into like, what does that mean, right? So now that we have, because ransomware has traditionally been targeted towards Windows systems, and now that ransomware is moving into the Linux realm, so what does that mean? I mean, what's does this change the game, and how concerned should we be?
I think we're all doomed. I think we need to start panicking right now.
That sounds like a vendor comment. So let's back up. Let's back up real quick. Let's get back to this. But like I said, it was just a perfect segue. So let's back up. And Proctor, in fact, the little history on Proctor and I met you, 6 years ago, something like that, 7 years ago.
Well, when did I try to hire you?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. So you wanted to hire me at some point, and you got lucky and didn't. And and so and I think it was just
I was close.
I was really close, and it was just because I didn't want to move to San Diego, or couldn't at the time. I would love to move to San Diego, I just couldn't at the time. But anyway, so yeah, we go way back, and then ever since we've had this nice, friendly, beating each other in the face Astros Dodgers rivalry. And so, yeah, it's been fun. But the going back to the vendor thing, though, is last week we sort of hammered on vendors a little bit about how not all, and let me be clear about this. I wasn't saying all vendors do it. I bet a lot of them do. And it just seems like anytime that there is a really public incident or something really big going on, everybody comes out of the woodworks, and not just technology vendors, consultants, and you have this sort of ambulance chasing mentality of use our services, we can help you, and da-da-da-da. And, everybody has mixed feelings on that. And I want to hear, some people don't mind it. Some people think it's bad etiquette, and I'm not saying that you or Forescout do that, because I didn't see it. But from a vendor perspective, what's your take on how should vendors, because you want to take it, number one, you want to take advantage of the opportunity because it's business. Number two, let's face it, business is business. Number two, you do want to make people aware that you're there to help them if they need help, and you want to put your card in the hat, right? So where is the line, and what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, we actually talk about this a lot at Forescout, and our goal is not to really chase the ambulances and spread more FUD. I think spreading more FUD, that's what a lot of people don't like, right? There's already enough of that out there. So what we just try to do, as you said, Clint, is make people aware that we offer, whether it's technology like us, or if you're working for consulting folks or whatever you're selling. Yeah, you want to make people aware that you can assist with problems or issues that these types of things or these types of incidents bring up, right? I apologize, I've got Teams popping up and going crazy. Let me quit that. But it's a fine line, and it's something that we talk about at Forescout with our marketing and sales team. We have blogs like for Colonial Hack and this whole TSA guidelines. We created matrices on how we can help with the specific kind of guidelines. But we really try not to say, hey, this is spread more FUD, and if you don't buy us, you're in bad shape, or this is going to happen to you. So I think when you're in a sales role and right, there's different levels of sales, right? There's those folks who are starting their careers as sales development reps who send a lot of emails and pick up a lot of phones and call people. And then there's mid-level and senior level. And I think, as an industry, kind of the more experience you get, obviously you've been a part of kind of these big incidents and kind of, hey, let's not chase it and let's not spread more FUD. But sometimes there are, maybe people who don't have as much experience and kind of say or do certain things that within the industry are kind of like, I don't know if you should say or do that or look down upon. So it's just about that fine line and making sure your customers and your target market is aware that, hey, if they want help, they need help, you're here to help. You're here to have conversations.
Go ahead, Pascal.
No, I was absolutely. I agree with one little caveat. Forescout is an established company, so you have a little bit of an advantage there because people already know where to find you. So it's going to be different when you're a startup or when you're not that known in the business. I can see people reaching out or holding on to a straw and putting information out there just to grab attention. So, but yeah.
100%. I think startups are definitely more aggressive with just more bold with what they say, which at times can be stretching things out. I think
we resemble that remark.
That's okay, but you want to be heard. You want to grab attention. But totally agree with you. Forescout, we've been around for 2 decades, and we're 4,000 customers around the world or so, over 4,000. So we try to.
You don't have to ambulance chase.
Exactly. We've got a lot of folks who know us, and we're trying to let people know. Like, obviously, Forescout's been in the IT space for quite a while, and then they made an acquisition to really go into the OT space. So let people know that Forescout does a lot more than just IT, but OT as well.
Yep, I was waiting for that one.
Thank you. Every time I get that, let's.
Had to get you for that one. So you have to drink. All right. And it's good. It's good to hear from the vendor's perspective because, like I said, not all vendors ambulance chase, and I think that in some circumstances, I think it's okay, and I think it's warranted, and I think that's a really good question. And I asked this before, and now one of our viewers is asking the same thing, which is, what's the fine line of making sure you're available, but not being an ambulance chaser? And that's kind of what I asked is like, where's that line? What do you think where do you think that line is? I think we should all sound off on that one because I think I kind of have my ideas as well.
I think that line is, look, you want to be seen when I talk to people as a trusted advisor to them, right? And obviously, if you're in the cybersecurity business selling products or services, it's just really giving advice to your customers and say, hey, I can connect you with like-minded people who have addressed kind of these same concerns, or here are my personal experiences. Like me personally, I'm Clint. When I tried to hire you, I used to be a former asset owner. So I really draw off my experiences and kind of my perspectives back then, and just trying to help out. And at the end of the day, if people like that advice and kind of believe that vision, I think they're going to buy stuff from you, whether it's services or technology.
Yeah. Pascal, you have any thoughts on that? I have an idea, but
I fully agree with that statement. You know, if you're going to do anything on this, make sure that your information is correct and it's useful, and it somehow help you. It doesn't even have to be your own services. Like you said, just point them in the right direction. Hey, if you were part of this attack, here are some guidelines. Here's 3 steps, 4 steps, whatever that looks like to follow, and this is how you can resolve your problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the way that I look at it is if you are just putting yourself out there and just saying, you know, hey, in light of the recent things that happened or in light of the recent attacks, if you need help, we can help. Give us a call. I think that's ambulance chasing. But if you're providing useful knowledge, if you put something out there that says, hey, here's what's happening out there, here's what we think, here's some solutions. If you offer some advice and offer solutions in your post and not just saying, hey, we're here to help, I think that's the gray area. That's okay.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many sales calls I'm on, Clint and Pascal, and I meet with, you know, these asset owners, and a lot of times it's me connecting them with other companies, because I said, look, like, you guys maybe from a maturity standpoint aren't ready for a product like ours. Like, that's a reality. Or
I love when vendors do that. I love when vendors are honest and say, you know what, you might not be the right customer for us, but let me point you in the right direction.
Yeah, like, your priorities should be, you know, over here, and let me connect you with a friend of the industry that we know and help them out.
And then once you've gone through that first process and you've gone through your initial low-hanging fruit, let's talk again, right? And because if you just sell your technology, even though they're not ready for it, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass at the end anyway.
Yeah. No. The worst thing as a technology vendor is someone buying the tech and then meeting with them. It's not installed. It's shelfware. They're getting no value out of it. Like, that's horrible. I mean, that's something that I, you know, for all my OT customers that I work with, it's something that I really try to focus on, because I mean, you guys know this OT thing isn't easy, right? There's not a lot of people who really there's a lot of great techs and there's so much data that comes out of this tech, but a lot of times the asset owners really struggle with, what do we do with all this data? And that expertise in SME, those SMEs are built over years of experience being in this field. And so, it's something that I and Forescout, we really try to focus on, is ensuring, look, buying the tech is great, but let's operationalize it within your company and let's drive value. Another plug, yes. Every time I get a
we warned you. You better get another couple of those beers, because that's not the last time you see it. Although you're absolutely right. I think most of the people still out there are not ready to take on all that data, right? First of all, most of them don't even know what that data means, if they even can get it out of it. And then, okay, let's say you do understand the data, you start seeing incidents. Most people don't have the infrastructure or the expertise to go out and do incident response, to actually do something with the discovered events and incidents. So yes, there's a lot of work left to be done.
Speaking of, you know, SMEs, OT SMEs, and how long it takes to get that experience to be able to do that level of analysis on OT, I do got to point out we have some really great, well-known industry players and SMEs in our audience right now viewing. So
who's out there?
Well, we have Austin Scott. Everybody knows Austin.
Okay. I mean, Austin Scott. We used to work together. Clint joined the team with Austin when I was an asset owner, and I think
everybody used to work with Austin. Man, I did. I worked with him at Timation. You know,
Timation. I still to this day believe, we had one of the most elite group of talent as an asset owner back then. So Austin, nice hearing from you. I actually just talked to him maybe a couple weeks ago. I was, I think I was buzzed on a Friday. Hadn't talked to him in months, so I gave him a
You're
call.
Always buzzed on a Friday. I know I am. And we also have Michael Vengard from Denmark.
Oh, Michael, you just messaged me today on LinkedIn. What's up,
You know,
Michael?
I think maybe that's why they're here. It's because of you, man. These, you know, I haven't seen
Normally
these
we
guys
have no
forever.
viewers at
Here
all,
they
but
show
now
I got friends. Michael, yes. We were talking about grabbing drinks at S4 this year. Yeah, absolutely, man. Can't wait to connect.
That's, I mean, of everything. You know, I know we're way off topic, but that's okay because, you know, we're all old conference buddies, right? And that's one thing I miss. I miss S4. I miss the Atlanta, the ICS Cybersecurity Conference, the formerly known as WiseCon. You know, all these conferences that we go to and all the beer ISACs, man. It's just, in fact, in a lot of ways, this episode today now with Michael and Austin and you, it's starting to feel like a little mini beer ISAC here. So,
It kind of is. Yeah, I was doing a LinkedIn Live with Patrick Miller last Friday. Yeah.
that's one thing I'm going to try to hit up Patrick to be on the show here too. But all right, let's stop being selfish. Let's provide the audience with some good commentary here. So let's move on to our what we started earlier and didn't finish up. So let's go back to this R evil again. We don't know how to pronounce it. Revel, R evil.
are evil. I like
yeah,
are evil.
Yeah, I
Because
like
they
R evil
are
too.
evil. It sounds
Yeah.
like somebody in the basement of his
More
mom came
coupon
up with
codes.
that.
I should have clicked. I'm going to click on this, I think. But
Yeah, just click on everything.
Yeah, let's see where that goes. But anyway, so we were talking about the fact that the same ransomware group that caused the JBS, the meat shortage. I know that's me, but anyway, the meat shortage is what was this ransomware, the Rebel RV Evil or whatever it is. But now they've modified it so that it can because that is a Linux base now, so that it can attack NAS devices and it can attack VMware ESXi virtual machines. And so where we left this conversation off before we started reveling in our beer ISAC was, you know, what does this mean in terms of impact? What do we see? Is this a game changer in terms of, do you think we're going to start seeing a different level of ransomware now? We're going to start seeing ransomware in different places. Is this going to increase ransomware? Where do you think this is going?
Yeah. I mean, I think, look, I mean, we've seen Windows-based ransomware for, I don't know, years now. I think the reality is if you're running a Windows box in a VM, I think they were still vulnerable to all this other stuff. So whether it's running as a VM or it's a physical box, I mean, I don't think it makes a difference. Now, this might be leveraging, and I don't know the details, the ESXi hypervisor or some kind of like vulnerability or way to get in that way. But I think at the end of the day, you know, as Dave Lawrence and I created a song, "Ransomware is a bummer." It's a bummer. You got to do your best practices. There's nothing new or innovative. I don't think we could probably say that hasn't been said 5 billion times by other people. So that's my thought.
If nothing else, it's just another wake up call to start putting in these standard best practices, right? Because not only are your Windows machines now vulnerable, they found a way to infect your backup devices, your NAS, your storage, and all of that. So unless you put your due diligence in protecting this, they will find a way to encrypt it and to get your money.
What does this do for like the IOCs, indicators of compromise? How much does it change the IOCs in terms of what analysts are going to have to be looking at now, or different, maybe even, I guess, you know, you don't have to have different specialties. IOCs are IOCs, right? But I mean, how much does it change?
I've always wondered what good IOCs do on ransomware, because you either see it, your screen is blue, your files are encrypted, or you're not. So there's your IOC.
Or okay, so indicators of just maybe breach but not compromise, right?
Yeah.
So the pre-indicators.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole industry is moving. You know, IOCs. There's a lot of talk have minimal value, right? Moving to TTPs and all of that. I think what's interesting is if these new attacks bring new tactics and techniques that we all need to monitor and prepare for. I think that's really interesting. Like I said, I don't have a lot of background specifically on kind of what TTPs these REvil people use, but Yeah, I think that's interesting. I mean, IOCs are IOCs, and we're always going to be monitoring networks, trying to look and find those things. But we know that attackers are, tweaking and tuning those things so those IOC, I'll say, engines and detectors don't work or don't have a lot of value post kind of the Big Bang. So TTPs, that's the big thing, and interesting to kind of see where this all goes. Linux, I mean, Windows has kind of been the easy target, but I think now if Linux is getting hit more, I think that's interesting because a lot of the controls and technologies that we have in Windows don't necessarily map directly to Linux. So maybe this is an opportunity for startups and other people who provide these technologies to pivot over to Linux as well. So that's interesting.
Oh, I think we're going to get saved because didn't Microsoft just port Defender into Linux? I think you can install Windows Defender now on Linux. Think about
that's it. We're all saved. I mean, that's it. Microsoft to the rescue.
To go back to the IOC TTP discussion, I think IOCs make perfect sense on the edge security or on maybe on your security devices. So you put IOCs like hashes, IP addresses, URLs to block initial communication, but apart from that, TTP should come into play when you start making your security program, right? Your TTP would be our sector, our environment, our industry is being targeted by our evil, which means that they're going to go after our ESXi servers, which means I got to put an extra layer of protection on those servers. So that's where I see that's where I see IOC versus TTPs come into play.
Yeah, we have IOCs in our product because, look, at the end of the day, if you see known bad, you want to know and you want to react and respond. So it's not that there's no value in having them. It's totally agree with you, Pascal. There's a place and use for them, and they should be used appropriately.
I think the big problem here, the big scare here is that when ransomware is focused on just Windows, I mean, it's not, so being virtualized isn't going to prevent you from being infected by Windows-based ransomware, but what it is going to do is every machine is still an individual node, right? Even if it's virtual. Now being Linux-based and can actually infect the ESXi base, the bare metal installation, one hit infects everything that's virtualized. And the scare about that is that more and more facilities, even in operations, are becoming more reliant on virtualization. So that, to me, that's the big problem, is because you have so many nodes virtualized now, and it would take one hit now to lock up the entire install base on that ESXi server.
Yeah. Clint, Pascal, one of the hot things in the last couple of years within the OT, let's bring this kind of back to ICS OT, virtual PLCs, right? That's kind of been a hot topic within the industry.
Yeah. PLCs,
soft PLCs. Have you guys seen that or talked to people? Have you seen those in the field? I haven't yet, but I know a lot of people are talking about it. But yeah, I mean, if this ransomware is hitting virtual machines in IT, heck, maybe, if we went to virtual controllers, what's potential impact there? That's kind of interesting conversation.
So I can't speak to the operators. I mean, I lie. I can speak to them very well, but I can't speak from their perspective. In that, I see soft PLCs deployed in labs and for training. I don't see too many soft PLCs other than in factories being installed. Being installed in real production environments on any mass scale. I think that it's mostly for training environments and for development, things like that. I don't think we're going to see wide scale deployment of soft PLCs and virtual PLCs out there. But anyway, I mean, there's some things that I do know that I can't talk about right now, but there's some stuff on the way, but maybe that's a future show.
Stop teasing us about it.
I know I've talked to vendors. A lot of people are moving their like RTU software for utilities and HMIs they're leveraging like container technology, and there's vendors out there that are kind of moving their technologies from kind of bare metal hardware, and you buy an RTU, you buy, you know, an HMI, and now they're kind of one piece of hardware, and you can run different containers, which are basically applications. Like you want an RTU and HMI together. So I have seen that. So I think that's already kind of starting in at least the utility vertical, because obviously I work a lot with them. But I think we're going to see more of that, right? I mean, HMIs are Windows based, right, for a majority of them. So
CE or something.
I'm actually hoping to go that way, because I think the technology is there with hyperconvergence. You know, you can have a spread data center where you basically can guarantee almost 100% uptime for your Windows processes, and the hardware is so fast nowadays. I think it probably beats, if not plays on the same level with a dedicated PLC, with the extra advantage that it's way easier to do load balancing and high availability with a cluster of VMs.
Well, Brian, you saw several years ago the 3D technology that we were doing, the gamification stuff that we were doing, where we had virtual processes or for you Canadians, processes. So where we had actual industrial protocol stacks communicating with virtual processes, so we had real PLCs talking to our virtual processes, and then we reversed it. We had virtual PLCs that we built from scratch, controlling real processes or processes. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know the proper way to say it, but anyway, processes. We had virtual PLCs. So we were building virtual PLCs that can be programmed with ladder logic several years ago that can program stuff. And this was open source. Not even, soft PLCs or whatever. So I'll have to do that on myself.
I was waiting for that.
But I got to call myself out. So yeah, the technology's there and it's not that difficult. But I think that we should end up having an entire show with people from a vendor who, like maybe Siemens or something like that, or Rockwell, who offer soft PLCs, and talk about where that's going if they can, because that would be very interesting to get into.
I can connect you with the folks from Schweitzer Engineering Labs, who basically substation.
Here he goes again. He's like the connector.
I just connect people.
That's why we call you the Proctor.
Make me a match.
Yeah. So Jed, if you're listening out there, I'm gonna introduce you to Clint and Pascal. But we'd
like to talk about that.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm just gonna say one more thing on this. Why not? We're not seeing PLCs bolted onto the side of machines of the most of the time anymore. It's all like distributed I/O. You get all remote I/O going back to a central set of PLCs. Why not make those central PLCs a high availability cluster?
Yeah, because one of the things that like we were doing in the lab was not only were we connecting PLCs over industrial protocols, we were using the ones we were using were called lab jacks, to where you could you have an IO interface that converts to USB, and so that you could have a PC with 10, 20, 30 virtual PLCs, and they would all have their own IO interfaces wrapped in USB wrappers, and so you could use serial protocols, you could use IO, direct wired IO, and so you could build a fully functional PLC with all of the different, whether it's discrete, analog, everything. So in industrial protocols, so there's no reason why you couldn't. But let's move on real quick, because there's the last thing I want to talk about before we've got about 10 minutes of actual show left before we get into our epilogue. So that's a buzzword. This is something interesting that came up, and it's not specifically related to OT, but there were some funny things they said about OT, but I want to see where this is going. And this is directly related to why I have my video game back there. What video game do you see? Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And so
I'll be back.
Yeah, so this is what we saw. This is actually a story that it was posted a month ago, but I just now saw it this past week where it said robots may take over cybercrime by 2030, researchers say. And what they're specifically talking about, so they're not really saying that, it's not exactly rise of the machines, although that would be fun, wouldn't it? Anyway, but what they're actually saying is that AI is going to be, it's increasing so much, and the capabilities are increasing so much, and that they're going to be using AI to automate ransomware, to automate the C2s, to automate everything. And that's going to become much more prevalent. And so they said two things in here that I thought was funny. They said, number one, the first thing they said that cyber attacks will be about losing humans, not data. And I'm just kind of like, finally, the rest of the world's getting a clue as to what OT is all about. It's about losing humans and loss of life and limb and safety, and not just data. And so finally, it takes some ridiculous article about Terminator-style robots and AI taking over for people to finally get it. When we're talking about industrial cybersecurity, we're talking about loss of life and limb, not just data. So I thought that was funny. And the second thing I saw was they said, this is great. This had me in stitches. They said, in the future, industry will be so highly automated that encrypting ransomware will be outmoded, modded, whatever that means. In other words, they in the future, industry is going to be so highly automated. Wait a second, aren't we already pretty highly automated? And that's the entire purpose of PLCs and industrial automation. It's funny that you have, this article, these researchers have this groundbreaking research about how in the future industry is going to be automated and it's going to be about loss of human life. And now I see why we're 2 decades behind the rest of the world.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, Clint, because I'm sure you've been hearing this. When I was an asset owner doing R&D, quantum computing was like the big hot thing, right? And everyone's like, quantum computing, once that's out, it's going to break all encryption and all hell breaks loose. So then if we got ransomware being run by AI and they're doing encryption, well, guess what? I'm going to have a quantum computer on my side. I'm going to break that and decrypt it. And so I think, look, is AI and machines going to take over and be a part of cybercrime? Absolutely. I think that's only going to increase. But I think the defenders are also, as they get smarter and leverage AI, we are going to get smarter and leverage AI. If any vendor is selling you on AI, please slap them. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't work. So please stop asking for AI in your RFPs, people. Please. It's all smoke and mirrors. I don't know how many times I have to say that. But anyways, so it's going to be interesting. Quantum's an interesting space. I think we got to watch out for that. I don't know. I don't follow that too closely, but that's something that we were looking into as an asset owner, kind of next level type of stuff. Encryption or using quantum communications to ensure integrity for data comms. Am I scared? Not any more than I am today. But as the attackers get better, we will get better. And yeah.
I think you're exactly right. It's interesting. It's a little bit of a kind of a paradox in that everybody is so scared of quantum computing being able to break encryption, which is kind of our baseline protection and communications and things like that. But like you pointed it out, at the same time, if we have quantum computing gets to the point where we're capable of breaking any encryption, well, that makes ransomware go away too. And right now, ransomware is kind of the biggest scare and biggest threat. And so, there are two sides to that coin: the red team and the blue team. And sorry, I am going to have to do that. But
yeah, you had to mention it. So
it
brings up a question though. Who do you think is going to be there first? Are we going to use quantum? Are we going to use quantum physics and quantum computing to do good or to do evil first, to attack or to defend?
I think
a matter of point. Wait, it's only
okay.
a matter.
Let me rephrase it.
From a certain point of view,
computing in
Obi-Wan Kenobi says there is
encryption or or encryption, decryption analysis? Are we going to use it for like commercial purposes or for military purposes first?
Yeah. I mean, from what I used to read, China was way ahead of at least the U.S. in quantum development. So I'm assuming the Chinese are using it for military or government activities of some sort, and I'm sure the U.S. is right behind that. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be government military before commercial, obviously. I mean,
I just can't wait to see a computer style like they have in Star Trek, man.
Oh yeah, you know what? I want
in my lifetime.
I just want replicators and holodecks.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
holodecks.
All right. Well, we are at the end of our scheduled broadcast. However, tradition does we've started a new tradition. So anytime we have a vendor on. By the way, none of these shows are sponsored. So any vendor we have on, they didn't give us any sponsorship, didn't give us any money or whatever. But as a thank you, he needs to ship me a beer. But as a thank you for coming on our show and talking with us, we do give them a few minutes at the end of the show to talk about a little bit about what they do. So, Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about Forescout and what you do there and what Forescout does?
Yeah. So what you'll read about us is we do active defense for what we call the enterprise of things. A lot of hot marketing terms, but what that means is that we try to identify every asset across every network you have, whether it's OT and ICS that we all love, to IT, to data center, campus, and cloud. And then we assess kind of the security posture of those devices in various ways, whether that's understanding if they've been scanned by your vulnerability scanner in the last 30 days, or whether it's doing TPAC inspection and looking for IOCs that we talked about, or TTPs, or other ways like logging into and integrating with SCCM and seeing if your stuff is patched. So we have a lot of different ways to assess the security of your assets. So then you can orchestrate segments and automate things, and whether that's kick them off the network to, which you probably never want to do in OT, but maybe in IT and wireless and laptops you might want to do. But we can do more passive things for OT, or more active kind of aggressive things in IT, especially in these ransomware days. So it's really building a whole platform that doesn't just focus on kind of one method of deep packet inspection only, or what we do is really provide a platform that combines. We have over 20 different methods. We have agents. If you want agents, we can integrate with network infrastructure. We can do deep packet inspection, you name it. We can integrate with all these different techs, but you name it. We're trying to build a single platform that does active defense. So that's why we're different, and it's more than just kind of understanding what's there and identifying bad. It's really automating and orchestrating and segmenting. That's another key thing for us. We can orchestrate segmentation and simulate segmentation as well, which is obviously when these types of incidents and everyone talks about segmentation is kind of one of the key things everyone falls back on. We try to bring that single platform that can do all of those things together. So,
you know, one of the things that I like about Forescout is a lot of the times whenever you have an OT technology company get acquired, and, you know, you guys came from the Security Matters, and it, like, there are, and I'm not going to name any names, but there have been other vendors out there that have been acquired and they sort of disappear from the OT technology scene. And so, and then there's a lot of good vendors out there that have, they had good products as well. And once they get acquired and we lose, they kind of disappear from the scene a little bit. We lose that benefit of having that vendor. I mean, good for the competitors, but it thins out the field of opportunity and options out there for operators. And so, you know, I really like the fact that when Forescout acquired Security Matters, that you guys didn't lose focus, and your OT mission is stronger now than ever. And so that's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. They didn't throw me in a box in a corner and said, Brian, please don't talk to anyone. Yeah, Forescout yeah, we just had all hands, and our CEO was like, OT is here to stay, and this is one of our top priorities within the company. So,
well, now, especially with everything being so high profile in OT, and I mean, the other day, my brother came to me, who doesn't know anything about what I do in the industrial side, and he says, "Hey, how's business been now that the pipeline got hacked and everything?" And it's just like the world knows now, right? Which is a double-edged sword. However, it's it would be kind of stupid now for anybody not to be focusing on OT right now. That's why there's a lot of ambulance chasing. But anyway, so any last things you want to say before we close it out?
No, besides, thanks for having me. And I think you've referenced the colonial hacks. We're supposed to drink every
drink.
Someone says that word.
He didn't actually say colonial, but that's
now I gotta finish this entire beer.
But thanks for having me, and keep this up. I love watching it, and it's great to we get to hear from a variety of different folks and different industries that you bring on, and different perspectives and views. It's awesome. So keep it up.
Thanks for coming on the show. I can't wait till the next time we have a live meetup at a conference. Or maybe I just take a road trip to San Diego. My wife wonders where I went. That would be great, wouldn't it? Anyway,
I left.
Yeah. So where are you at? I told you I went to the bar. You've been gone for 3 days. Well, I went to the bar near Brian's house. But so anyway, thanks for coming on. We will see you next time. And hey, thanks audience we had some great audience members today, friends of ours and really high profile and expert OT SMEs. So thanks for being in the audience, and we will see everybody next time.